It began quietly, as world-changing things often do, not with explosions or announcements, but with a whispered discovery in a forgotten laboratory. The man behind it, Dr. Adrian Voss, wasn't a billionaire, or a celebrity, or a genius in the traditional sense. He was a biologist, buried in years of failed experiments, driven by a single obsession: the human clock, aging, the slow, inevitable decay that no medicine, no science, no technology had ever truly stopped. Until now. The formula, codenamed reverses, wasn't magic. It wasn't even complex. It was a sequence of proteins, a synthetic chain designed to reactivate dormant genes, the same genes that once kept cells young, resilient, alive. It didn't just slow aging, it reversed it. Cells regenerated, wrinkles vanished, organs repaired, hair returned to its original color, bones strengthened. It was as if time itself was rewinding. The first tests were small, mice, then primates, all showing the same astonishing results. But when the first human subject, Adrian himself, walked into the lab at 58 years old and within 6 months looked 35 again, the secret could not be contained. The news broke like wildfire. At first, the world reacted with awe. Headlines screamed of immortality, of eternal youth. The rich and powerful offered fortunes for a single dose. Scientists argued, ethicists panicked, politicians scrambled, but the technology worked. And once something works, it cannot be unseen. It didn't take long for reverses to reach the open market. At first, it was restricted, reserved for the terminally ill, the aging elite. But black markets flourished, counterfeits appeared, and then one day, a quiet decision by one desperate government changed everything. They made it free, universal, one shot per citizen, a new birthright, the end of aging. And the world shifted. At first, it was paradise. People shed decades of wear. Grandparents returned to youth alongside their grandchildren. Lifespans stretched. Diseases linked to aging, Alzheimer's, cancer, heart failure, began to vanish. The economy soared as the old became young again. Productivity skyrocketing. Couples rekindled love as they both regained the faces they wore when they first met. Cities sparkled with vibrancy. The grayness of old age replaced by endless vitality. But paradise is never free. Within a generation, something darker emerged. The population swelled beyond control. Birth rates did not fall. Death rates evaporated. Cities groaned under the weight of immortality. Resources dwindled. The planet, already strained, began to crack. And with eternal youth came something no one had foreseen: the loss of time itself. Without aging, people lost their urgency. Ambition faded. Risk-taking collapsed. After all, why rush? Why try? There was always tomorrow, and the next, and the next. Relationships fractured, not because of infidelity, but because after 100 years, two people rarely remained the same. Marriages dissolved under the quiet pressure of infinity. In secret corners of the world, a new kind of movement took shape: the Enders, people who believed that aging, decay, and death were not flaws of the human condition but essential parts of it. They rejected reverses. Some went further, choosing to age naturally, even to die, as an act of defiance. They called it the sacred arc, the belief that life had meaning precisely because it ended. Eva Myrov was one of the first to be born into the age of reverses. Her parents, both well over 90, looked barely 30. She herself received the treatment at age 25, as everyone did by law. But Eva felt the emptiness. She saw the flatness in people's eyes, the way the passage of time had lost its shape. Every day felt the same because there was no difference between today and tomorrow. One night, Eva dreamed of gray hair, of wrinkled hands holding a child, of the ache of memory, of fleetingness, of beauty that fades. She woke crying without knowing why. Something inside her, some primal human instinct, longed for the old ways, for time that moved forward, not in endless circles. It was then she discovered the Enders, hidden in forests, deserts, deep beneath cities. They lived without the treatment. They aged, they died, and they lived, truly lived. Eva visited them in secret, and for the first time, she felt something she had never known: fear of loss. Yes, but also love sharpened by time, laughter touched by sadness, moments that mattered because they would not last forever. She faced a choice: remain ageless, like the billions outside, or join the fragile, fading rebellion of the Enders. In the end, she chose time. The reversal wasn't easy. The body, once locked in eternal youth, fought the return of decay, but slowly, line by line, Her face changed, the smoothness gave way to softness, the sharpness to gentleness. Years settled onto her bones not as a burden, but as a gift. She learned that every sunrise carried weight, every goodbye mattered, every breath was finite, and therefore precious. The world beyond continued. The ageless danced in their glittering towers, untouched by time, but in the quiet places, the enders whispered to each other of stories, of memories, of the beauty of things that end. And Ava, her hair streaked silver, her eyes lined with time, smiled into the mirror not in regret, but in gratitude, because she understood what the world had forgotten. It is not eternal youth that makes life beautiful, it is the fleetingness of it, the knowing that all things pass, and in their passing, we find meaning.